Peace. This is Ray Hugo, aka Rahil, and I'm back again with another review. Welcome to Enter the View. And album that I'm going to be doing a review on is Conway the Machine, From a King to a God. Now, I've been a fan of the Griselda movement for quite some time, for a couple years. Probably 2016, maybe it's when I got hip. But I've been listening to them ever since, man. And they just been just churning out albums, man, and projects. West Side Gun, Benny the Butcher, and Conway the Machine. And so here, this is Conway the Machine's. I don't even know which album number you would call this. I mean, he got so many projects that it's kind of hard between mixtapes, albums, and just collaborations he had. But this year, I think he put out Lulu, which was a collaboration between himself and Alchemist, which was a solid project. And then he dropped a collaboration album with Big Ghost, and I think it was something, I forgot the name of the daggone album. But anyway, that album was hard. And basically just gearing up for this release, which was, I think, this is an actual official album, From a King to a God. And then I think next album after that, I think it's going to be God Don't Make Mistakes. I believe that's right. I might be wrong on the title, but I think that's what it's going to be next. But this is gearing up for that, because I think he's going to drop another album on Shady. So this is gearing up for this, though. But this is all on Griselda and Drumworks, which I think Drumwork is his own label as well. So anyway, we get into it. So this album is an official album, and he is definitely expanding his palette of beats and beat selections. Because normally with Conway, you're used to hearing that grimy street, and you're still getting that, but he messes with different tempos on this. It's not like slow paced or slow tempo beats on this album. So he has a variety of different things. So let me get into it. First of all, let me just talk about the album cover. Album cover is a crown over his head with the letters F.T.K.G, From a King to a God, shaped like a crown over his head. And it's pretty dope how they did that. And but anyway, let's get into the first track. First track is called From a King, or From King. And that's produced by Derringer. Derringer is his longtime collaborator, dope producer, makes that gritty Buffalo sound that he has. It's crazy that a lot of people are loving right now. And anyway, this first track it's just a guitar riff and a kick. So it sounds like you're anticipating something crazy about to happen on this album, man. So the beat comes in like that. There's an excerpt from somebody who's talking about going from being feeling like you're a god, and why would you feel like a god, and what makes you feel like a god. Completely being one with the universe. You know, that's kind of what this excerpt says. And then it goes into him just rapping, man. And this track sets the tone for the whole album. So I love this. Love the track. It's dope, man. He's just spitting. Let's go to song number 2, Fear of God, featuring Dej Loaf. Now this track is dope. Hit Boy on the production, and Hit Boy has been on fire. My next few reviews, one will be for the Nas album, one will be for the Benny the Butcher album. I'm gonna talk about Hit Boy, but this track here, yo, it's like high energy and it's street, but it's dope, man. Dej Loaf's on the hook, and let me talk about this though. But Conway is ripping the beat, he's ripping the track up, and he says, I wrote down his quote something. He said, I mean, West owned the land, but I did the construction. You know, so he's basically saying, like, you know, West Side Gun he owns the land. He created the label. He created the Griselda movement, and he's been the one doing all the building of it, because he's been putting out projects, doing verses, all that, man, representing Griselda to the fullest. And so, you know, he just basically says that. And I thought it was a dope line how he kind of said that and made that reference. Then he says, I'm about to have Paul robbing Peter to pay me. That line is so hard. I'm about to have Paul robbing Peter to pay me because people say, you know, you know that whole phrase of I gotta robbing Peter to pay Paul. Basically trying to pay their bills. It's like, man, I gotta rob Peter to pay Paul type deal. So that's a dope line. But the illest part is when Dej Loaf is singing, and at the end she's like, cutting up in traffic, keep a cutter with me. Something she's like, cutting up in traffic. If you cutting up in traffic, I keep a cutter with me. And then this swing, this blade sound comes out of nowhere. It just sounds so hard, though. When you hear the track, you're gonna laugh when you hear it, because just like out of nowhere, this blade sound comes. But dope track, a standout track to me, one of my favorites on there. Next track is called Lemon. Lemon Squeeze, Lemon Squeeze. The first single off of the album, featuring Method Man. It's a dark, grimy, slow beat. Oh my God, it's hard. Piano, guitar licks, crazy. Method Man, he was solid. He fit right into the track. A lot of people were raving about his verse. I thought Conway had the better verse. Method Man, of course, he knows how to get into pockets and rhyme. So he was dope, man. He sounded good over it. I wasn't blown away by his verse, but it was a solid verse by Method Man. So, props to him. He still got it. He never lost it. He's always consistent. The last Wu-Tang albums, he's basically the only person really rapping on there that shows up the most on there. So he never stopped, So, but dope song, dope beat. Reminds me a lot of West Side Gun on the hook when he's singing Lemon Squeeze, Lemon Squeeze. Sounds kind of hard. It's probably bad. It probably don't even sound good with me singing it, but he's kind of off key. But Conway, yeah, it's grimy. It's a grimy joint. Anyway, track number 4, Doe and Damani. So Doe and Damani is produced by Alchemist and Derringer. So the first half of the song is produced by Alchemist, and then there's a beat switch, and then Derringer comes in. So this track is gonna be dope. So the pianos and keys, they feel lighter on Alchemist track, and it still has that dark feel, for a while. But then, in Conway, he just rhyming, talking, bragging, doing what he does over tracks, and he's killing it. But then the beat switch comes in, and oh my gosh, man, it's so grimy, bro. It's like Derringer, man. He and Conway are just like a match made in heaven when it comes to beat and rhyme, man. Like, there's just nothing like it, man. And he basically takes us to his block and just telling us something, things going on his block, but you feel like you're there. Like, he goes from just rhyming to, now I'm about to take you to my block, and I'm gonna take you on the corner when I'm doing dirt or whatever I'm doing. Like, crazy, man. So Doe and Damani, definitely that second half was a standout track to me. I love it, man. And then next track, number 5, Juvenile Hell, featuring Havoc, Lloyd Banks, and Flea Lord. Now this track, Havoc's on the production, and if you know about Mobb Deep and Havoc could just take like a 2-bar loop and just make it sound crazy. So that's what basically this beat is like. Except he's just dropping the beat in and out. But it's a 2-bar loop as far as the music. But it's hard, man. It sounds like a leftover off of one of Mobb Deep's older albums or something. It's a hard beat, man. Conway, he has a bar on there. I had to quote him because I wrote it down. I take notes when I'm doing these reviews because I want to do track by track. So anyway, he says, not only did I raise the bar broke. I was like, dang. Not only did he raise it, he broke it. Like, you know what I mean? You guys start trying to come up to his level. You can't, because he broke the bar. He raised it and then he broke it. Hard bar, man. Hard line. But Lloyd Banks, oh my gosh. I hadn't heard him in a while. And You know, I don't know what's going on with him, but he kind of fell back from music for a minute, I guess. But yo, he sounds so invigorated and so refreshed on this, and he is slaughtering it. And I mean, he has a line on there, and I didn't write it down, but I remember it. He says, my alma mater is the my alma mater is the what is that? My alma mater is the hit niggas send niggas horizontal or something like that. It's my alma mater is the hit niggas sell horizontal. It's crazy, man. But he slaughters this beat, man. And Flea Lord, you know, he was grimy. He did his job. He represented Buffalo and what he did on the track. So it was dope. But that was a standout too. That was a standout track for me. I can go back and listen to that over and over. That's a dope song. All of them. Everybody did their thing. Let's go to number 6. Number 6 is an interlude. It's called Words from Shay. Shay was a DJ in Buffalo, well known. He's been around for a long time. And, you know, but he passed away recently. And so it really impacted Griselda, impacted Conway, everybody, because he was kind of like, you know how in your cities you have, as far as in music, I don't know, you always have like one or two people. One person is really kind of like the mayor of the movement, of the music scene in that city. He was kind of like the mayor of the music scene there as far as rap. And he was also, I think he was Conway's engineer as well. So throughout the album, I think like 2 tracks, I think we'll get into it later on, but he does talk about him, you know. But he included him on interludes, and basically Shay's talking about and describing Conway's style on this interlude, and just basically why he's dope, you know. And so it's a cool, you know, kind of nod and tribute to him. And you could tell, like, throughout this album, it was like he was really trying to honor Shay, DJ Shay. You know, I don't know if his name is DJ Shay, but I know it's Shay. So, yeah, just wanted to mention that. Next track, number 7, is called Front Lines. I highlight, it's one of my favorites too, man. Beat Butcher. If you don't know who Beat Butcher is, he produced this track. Beat Butcher does a lot of stuff for Griselda, and this track, dope, man. Grimy, dope beat. The first verse, he's just, you know, he's just talking mess. You know, he's just talking his talk, braggadocio. You know how he do, Conway, and he's just spitting bars. Bars are always, it's hard, like, to talk about his albums, like, because he's always consistently great spitting bars, man. Just hard bars, hardcore. But this first verse is that way. Then the second verse, he goes into talking about the protests and like how people are being killed by the police and stuff like that. I think he kind of describes what happened to George Floyd, and then basically talking about how, like, man, we ain't taking it no more. So it's almost kind of like the second verse is kind of like a rally cry for those who are feeling the emotions of what happened and what's going on with the police and stuff like that. And shoot, he has some hard stuff he says on there. Like, he's like, man, like, if you do that to one of my kids, I'm running up in the precinct and blasting. Like, I don't care. And so what you hear at the end of the song is a clip of the people in Minneapolis who were protesting and actually went to precincts and the precinct to start tearing it up and stuff like that. So, but it's called Front Lines. The beat is hard. I think it was the first single off of this album too. So, but the first song I heard it actually. So, dope song. And it was good to hear, like, Conway switch up his content a little bit with the second verse. So that was pretty dope. Then the next track, number 8, is Anza featuring Armani Caesar. If you know who Armani Caesar is, she's the first female of Griselda. So she has projects out and stuff. I think she just has a new project that's out right now. She had a dope song with DJ Premier. And anyway, so she's on this with him. And this beat was produced by Murder Beats. Well, I never heard of Murder Beats, but it's an up-tempo track, number 1, which is a little different. It kind of sounded like something that Drake would have been on. And not to say that's a bad thing. Like, it's actually pretty dope. Kind of something you could hear in the club or something. But Conway, he's just skating over this, man. He's styling on it, man. And basically just talking about, you know, talking about his dealings with women and stuff like that. But he's styling on this, man. he's riding the beat, man. He's just he goes and switches his cadence up. Oh my gosh, man. I can't describe it. Like, you gotta hear the track. Like, if this was probably, as far as songs on the album that kind of is a little different, this that you say, well, does it fit or not? It could be one of them tracks that it works on the album. It don't really fit as much as all the other songs, but this is kind of like gives you a break from all the other heavy hardcore stuff. So I can appreciate it being on there. Armani Caesar, she does her thing on there too. She has I think he does like 2 or 3 verses, 3 verses, but then she does the last verse on there. I could see them kind of building this into a thing where they probably do more songs together or something like that. Especially her being a female and being a male, they kind of play off of each other. But I would love to hear both of them kind of go back and forth on a song or something like that sometime. Because this song, they didn't really do that, but in the future, I hope that's the case, man. That way you can highlight her, since she's a premier artist that they're trying to push on Griselda right now. So that's that track. Number 9, Seen Everything But Jesus. That's a very provocative provocative title for a song, but I did put a star by that because it was a highlight for me. And that features Freddie Gibbs. Freddie Gibbs' hook on this song had to be like the most pimpish, gangsterous thing you would say to a female or to a woman that you're dealing with. He basically, how does the hook? I wish I remember how the hook go, but he basically in the hook, he's like, I'm sleeping with, I'm messing with this other woman, or I'm messing with your partner, or I'm messing with your girl, or something like that. I'm cheating on you, whatever. I'm messing with another girl. I know you're gonna go to the car. You're gonna go back to the car and cry about it. But are you gonna cry about it in a Toyota or a Maybach? Basically telling her, look, do you want to go back to the life you was living? I know I'm doing all this dirt, whatever. I'm hustling, I'm doing this dirt, and this is part of the game with me. So you can have this Maybach and cry in that Maybach and get over it, or go back to that Toyota that you rolled up in. So it's kind of hard, man. But Benny, good Lord. Conway does 2 verses on it, and then and I was wondering, because Freddie was on the hook, but I was like, is he gonna have a verse on here? And then he has a verse at the end, and on the song he actually says, I wasn't even gonna do a verse, and then he goes in and starts spitting, and his verse is crazy. He's dope, but the beat is dope. It was produced by Beat Butcher, and of course, it beat produced by him. It's gonna be a solid beat. And I think that's all I had on there, man. But they both kill it, man. And they just kind of take you, you see, they always take pictures, man. So they kind of take you where they're at. Conway always takes you into his world, and that's what I like about him. That's what makes him so great. His feeling, his feeling on the tracks, when he raps, it's you feel like you're there, man. You can hear the sincerity in his voice. So, and of course, Freddie Gibbs as well, man. Freddie Gibbs is just a dope artist, man. So anyway, number 10, Words from Shay again. And he's basically just talking about the Griselda movement and those guys making it, and basically how Buffalo, he wants it to be known for a place where artists actually make it. And it's basically starting to brew up that way. Many people from not only Buffalo, but just upper New York. You got Rochester, you got the Trust movement with 38 Special and all them. Everybody's bubbling right now, man. Shay Noir, all of them, they're bubbling, man. So Shay helped to get this thing started and moving, and it's just kind of sad that he's not here to reap the benefits of it to the degree that he deserved. But it seems like Conway's giving him his flowers by talking to him about him and having him on these skits and stuff like that. So then that him saying all this stuff about Buffalo music, Buffalo rap, and what Griselda is doing, and how he believed in these guys and knew that they would take it where they're going. leads into my favorite song on the album, Spurs 3. Spurs 3, with featuring basically Griselda. So this is, you got Conway, West Side Gun, and Benny all on one track, produced by the Beat Butcher. Oh my God. Let me pause for a sec. Yo, this beat is stupid, man. I love this track, man. I played it over and over because I love it, man. It's just crazy, man. It's like some wind chimes. Like he sampled wind chimes or played wind chimes, and they're just rhyming over it, man. And Conway is just talking that talk, man. Like how cats is trying to sound like them now, and how they moving up in the game, and how they're killing the game. And oh man, bruh. West Side Gun, he does what he does, and he just spazzes out, and you're gonna get your boom, 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 brrr, brrr. So you get your ad libs. Doop, doop. And then Benny, he's the cleanup guy, man. He takes us back to his drug hustling days, and he cleans it up, man. He just kills it, man. And his patterns. His wordplay is so intricate on this track, man. Benny, he just like he does the inner rhyme thing a little bit on it, but like you just gotta pay attention to what he's doing. Like he's a technician. So, and I can't wait to review his album with Hit Boy. But he's such a technician on this album, man, on this song. So yeah, this beat, it'll make you hold your jaw like this, like, really? Y'all really doing this right now? Spurs 3, one of my favorites. All right, next track, Forever, number 12, Forever Dropping Tears. And this is produced by Eric Sermon and Rockwilder. And it sounds slightly different for them as far as their vibe, but it's dope. It's an emotional track, and it's featuring El Camino. And it's a lighter sounding track, but it's like basically Conway reminiscing on DJ Shay, and some of his people are lost and gone, and how he cried writing one of the verses. He said he wrote it during before the funeral. How it really touched him. He was crying. You can kind of hear his pain all over this track, all over the song. So yeah, man, good song. Rest in peace, DJ Shay. And again, solid track, sad track, and it was just good to hear that. Like he was being very vulnerable on this song. So going into number 13, Jesus Crisis, produced by Crisis. If you know who Crisis is part of he's part of the Soul Council with Ninth Wonder. He's produced so many different people and artists, namely well noted is Little Brother, as well as just a whole bunch of artists, man. But Jesus Crisis, Conway spazzing out over the beat. The beat is dope. Slightly up tempo. His pattern switches on different parts of his verse, which stands out. It's crazy dope. It's a dope track, man. It was a good addition on there, and it was good to hear Crisis getting placement on there, man. I like that. I hope they do more. I hope that they go in and maybe do a full album together or something. Definitely that'll be a good look. And then the last track, Nothing Less. DJ Premier on the beat, produced by DJ Premier. And he's been doing quite a bit of work with Griselda, West Side Gun, all of them. And so it's dope. Of course, you're going to get DJ Premier's cuts. The beat, it sounds like something like a loop or something from the 80s or something like something like Al Jarreau or something. I don't know what it's from, but it sounds like something that been on the Al Jarreau album or something from the 80s. But it's really just a loop, and then it switches up on a hook on the chorus, and he comes in scratching. But Conway, he's just coasting styling all over the beat. And, when I hear the beat, I'm like, yo, is Bobby Caldwell going to come in and start singing or something? Because that's what it reminds me of, something that he would be on or something like that. But it's a dope track. Good ending to an album. This is the last track. So Overall, so let's break it down. Recap everything. Overall, the production value high, variety, classic grimy tracks. Subject matter, it varied a little bit more from his past projects because he had a lot more things to say. He stayed in his bag for the most part, but he did have a few things he changed up a little bit on, talking about DJ Shay and all these different things. So that was cool. He still gives you, though, like anybody who's a fan of his, he still gives you what you really want from him. He showed that he could put an album together. I think that was like the biggest thing about this. Like he can put a solid album together with different producers. He kept to some of his same producers, but then he had a few other tracks from other people. So he showed that like I could put a variety of things together, some mid-tempos, up-tempos, and still that slow, grimy sound. My last thing I would say, man, I just look forward to him, his Shady release and see how that goes. I'm excited for it. I'm always excited whenever Conway drops something. I'm always shocked and surprised when he does. And he's always consistent. Like I know what to expect from him. I know what I'm going to get, which is just bars, like really good bars. He could say the same things over and over, but he has a creative way to keep telling the story in his life story. So, he's painting these pictures and taking you into his world. So, as far as claps, so I have to give him 4 claps on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the highest you can get. So he had perfect 4, perfect album. I didn't see anything really wrong with this album at all. Like from A to Z, you could play it all the way through, and there's nothing really skippable. I have my favorites on there, but there was nothing that was really skippable to me. Solid all the way through, rhymes all the way through, solid beats, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've played this album at least a few times back to back, So I would say kudos to you, Conway, if you do see this. I have more reviews coming, so if you have a review that you want me to do for you as far as an album, a song, or anything like that, you let me know in the comments section. Hit me up, and I'll review it for you. And it don't matter what era, what time is. It could be a jazz album, a rock album, whatever it is. Just let me know the album that you want me to review, and I'll do it for you. Again, this is Ray Hugo with Enter the View, and I hope you enjoy, and peace.